The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke.
Glory to you, O Lord.
There was a lawyer who, with the concern Jesus, stood up and said to him, "Master, what must I do to inherit eternal life?" He said to him, "What is written in the law? What do you read then?" He replied, "You must love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your strength, and with all your mind, and your neighbor as yourself." "You have answered right," said Jesus. "Do this and life is yours." But the man was anxious to justify himself and said to Jesus, "And who is my neighbor?" Jesus replied, "A man was once on his way down from Jerusalem to Jericho and fell into the hands of brigands. They took all he had, beat him, and then made off, leaving him half dead. Now a priest happened to be traveling down the same road, but when he saw the man, he passed by on the other side. In the same way, a Levite who came to the place saw him and passed by on the other side. But a Samaritan traveler came upon him, was moved with compassion when he saw him. He went up and bandaged his wounds, pouring oil and wine on them. He then lifted him on his mount, carried him to the inn, and looked after him. Next day he took out 2 denarii and handed them to the innkeeper. "Look after him," he said, "and on my way back I will make good any extra expense you had." Which of these 3 do you think proved himself a neighbor to the man who fell into the brigand's hand? "The one who took pity on him," he replied. Jesus said to him, "Go and do the same yourself." The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
My brothers and sisters, when Jesus tells a lawyer that to inherit eternal life, he must love God and love his neighbor as much as he loves himself, the question immediately follows, "And who is my neighbor?" Jesus does not define who the lawyer's neighbor might be, but tells him a story instead, the famous parable of the Good Samaritan. The priest and the Levites in the story ignore the beaten stranger by the roadside. Even though he is a fellow Jew, in contrast, the Samaritan, who is from a different and despised people, show the injured man love and care. The listener would have been shocked to hear Jesus say that a Samaritan stopped to aid the victim. Jews regard Samaritans as enemies, and yet here a Samaritan is the good guy. If Jesus had merely wanted to teach about neighborly love, the third passerby could have been another Jew, or the victim might have been a Samaritan assisted by a Jew. In selecting a Samaritan as the hero, Jesus is turning the social world upside down and challenging deep-seated superstition. It is the Samaritan who behaves like a loving neighbor, even though he is under no obligation to do so. The priests and the Levites who are supposed to be example of virtuousness, reject the opportunity to show love and be good neighbor to the fellow Jews. Jesus intended the story to demonstrate the nature of love in God's kingdom. The response to who is my neighbor is that everyone, including my enemy, is my neighbor. The Samaritan compassion was costly. It involved making himself vulnerable to attacks by robbers because he was walking instead of riding, after giving the beaten man his mount. He also made a financial payment to an innkeeper to look after the victim without any expectation of being repaid. He might even have been ostracized by his own people for assisting a Jew. Jesus directly asked the lawyer which of the three travelers was a neighbor to the injured man. The one who took pity on him, he replied. To underline the message still further, Jesus instructed the lawyer to go and do the same yourself. Jesus asked that we care about our neighbor with the same intensity that we care about ourselves. We are to love as he loved us, and even an enemy is redefined as a neighbor. So, my brothers and sisters, today Jesus is teaching us that it is possible to go beyond the boundary human society has constructed and to do things in a different and revolutionary way.